this video is going to be about, we're going to see if the 750 Ti or any older PC can actually run this upcoming game, which looks absolutely amazing when it's running on its full graphics. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Now I'm very happy to report that the game actually runs, unlike Halo Infinite, because that game was built on DirectX 12 just like this game is, but unlike Halo Infinite and mostly like Elden Ring, this game has native support for DirectX 11. For Elden Ring we had to go through some hoops, but this game is running natively on DirectX 11. Obviously there's gonna be some kinds of technical shortcomings when it comes to DirectX 11 versus DirectX 12. Now as you can see here, I'm in the display menu and you can see there are a lot of things that are on low and off, and that is to be expected. Like I mentioned, the PC is pretty old, and in the graphics you can just go over there on the right side. You can see that I have 8 GB of RAM and GeForce GTX 750 Ti, the little card that could. I'm still running on this card because the economic situations. So this card has been a very good companion to me for the past many years. At this point, I actually played Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake on it, so I was hoping that it would run this game, and lo and behold, I am very happy to say that it actually runs the game. Now I'm just gonna skip over the intro real quick over here, then we're gonna just see the some gameplay. Oh my god, there's Marvin. And so here we are, the game is actually running, but as you can see there are some jitters, and then the graphic quality is quite low at this point. And in a minute I'm gonna go into the settings and we're gonna look at the options of the graphics. And first of all, I'm just gonna go and fix the mouse sensitivity. It's gonna take me a minute to find the location where they put the mouse sensitivity option, because by default it was very bad, I have to say. But in a second I'm gonna find the mouse sensitivity option, and then we're gonna get into the gameplay. Now after setting the mouse sensitivity, I go into the graphics and we're gonna take a look at what kind of performance we are getting on what kind of options are enabled by default on this very low-end PC compared to today's standards. And as you can see, a lot of things are on low and a lot of things are gonna be turned off. Obviously you're not gonna get the best experience on a low-end PC when it comes to these modern games, especially a game like Resident Evil 4 Remake, which looks, like I mentioned, beautiful. But as you can see, almost all of the options are either on low or on off, and even after all of these things, the game isn't running the best. So that is to be expected, because I have a very minimally required RAM to run for this game, and obviously the GTX 750 Ti is has no comparison with the high-end and big PC cards that are coming out nowadays. Now we're going to get into some of the gameplay, and as you can see, the graphics are not looking best, but hey, at least it is running, and I have to say it is quite playable. If you're not a very kind of like high-end guy, it is quite playable, and I'm pretty sure you complete the entire game on this. But we're gonna see that this game actually takes some performance dips when running on low-end PC, so please do take that into consideration if you're deciding to get this game, and if you have a very older card and very less RAM. Now the game is running pretty nice, all things considered, the old hardware considered at this point. But I have to say, this is the point where only Leon is on the screen. There's not too much rendering involved. I'm pretty sure all of the stuff are pre-rendered stuff, so even that is kind of like taxing on the machine at this point. But the game is kind of like playable, and with the low graphics you can actually, I think, go through the entire game, maybe. I have to say that the game looks absolutely gorgeous even on these very low settings, and I can only imagine how awesome it would be to play with everything turned up to 11. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the only way to experience these modern games, but hey man, some of us have limitations when it comes to our hardware. And with the economic situation going on around the world, it's kind of like hard to go into building a new PC and stuff like that because that costs money. Okay, so with this basic gameplay out of the way, I'm gonna skip ahead to a part where we actually enter the village, and we're gonna talk the rest from there on because I want to show you all how this older machine actually handles when there's a lot of stuff going on screen. Now with the first area of the demo behind us, we found the first clue of Ashley's whereabouts. Leon performed his death-defying stunt out of the window. We finally get to the gates of the village and are greeted by a falling head. Hi there. Now the reason why I'm showing all of you, especially those who have a low-end PC, this area in particular is I wanted to see how my hardware would perform in a situation where the game has to render a lot of stuff at the same time on the screen in a large open area. Before this we have been in kind of like these corridor type areas, but this is the first full open type area in the game with a lot of stuff going on. So I wanted to see how my old GTX 750 Ti would perform. And you know what? I'm quite happy to say that it's not too bad. It is actually playable. I should mention that Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake are perfectly playable on this older PC, and I was hoping the Resident Evil 4 would be too. Even though it is not running on the same graphic fidelity as those two, it is still playable and I'm kinda like excited about it. Now after picking up this herb, I'm gonna do something very stupid just because I can. And with Leon thinking that he is invincible of surviving the Raccoon City incident, he decides to go on and take a shot at this villager in the middle of a ceremony where they're burning a police officer. Real smart, dude. Real smart. Now, the reason why I did this very stupid thing in particular was because I wanted to put my hardware through a stress test. Now, this is kind of like a pseudo stress test, you might say, but this is the best thing that I had at this point. I wanted to see how my hardware would perform when there was a lot of stuff going on the screen. As you can see, a lot of people are coming after me. I'm getting beat up here and there, and I just want to see how much of a performance drop I'm gonna take because Resident Evil 4 can get quite crowdy at times. And as you can see, it's not too bad. Even though there are frame rate drops and skips and all that stuff is happening, I can still say that it is quite playable and I know what's going on and what I am doing. Now as you can see, there are a lot of them and there's no hope of taking all of them out at this point, but I do get to chant an old lady. Now after failing to take down all of those enemies, I decided to go on a run of the entire village, or at least how much I could actually cover, so that I could see what was going on and how well this hardware performs. And as you can see, we are getting some really like frame skips, frame drops, and a drop in quality overall. I don't have the key. And yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking and let you all see how the game performs at this point. I'm sorry I said I'm gonna stop talking, but I just want to mention that you can see how much the frame drops are happening at the moment. This kind of like, this is a timed event. I think this guy comes out eventually after a set amount of time, so at least I didn't get killed by him. Spoiler alert. But as you can see, when we come out in this open area, yeah, a lot of frame drops, man. Not cool. But that is to be expected. 750 Ti, the GTX 750 Ti is quite an old card at this point, and the fact that it is at least running this game is amazing. But it is what it is. Now I decided, I tried to cover the entire area. I thought I could actually escape from these guys at some point. I ran to this door, but obviously it was locked, and I think this is the point where we're gonna get into the fight with the villagers. And for me, at least for this video, this is the end where I actually end up dying. And I got what I wanted. I wanted to see how this game is gonna perform under these stress type situations on my older hardware, and I have to say it is quite playable. I might actually end up getting it, but you know, in some areas where it counts, the frame drops are quite significant, so I'm on the fence about it at the moment. Like I mentioned, I'm not a very huge fan of Resident Evil 4 because in my personal opinion, it kind of like took the Resident Evil franchise in a very like distinctly different direction from the original three masterpieces that are Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3, and I didn't like the direction that Resident Evil 4 took the entire series, and I'm very glad that Capcom at least tried to bring it back in Resident Evil 7 and then Resident Evil 8. So that is besides the point right now. The point is this game is running like slightly well on my older PC, but I would not recommend getting this on if you have like a very older series of PC cards and low gigs of RAM and you know, stuff like that. But if you're desperate and you have an old PC and you don't you can't afford it, a new one, hey, go ahead and give it a chance. One thing I'm very happy about is, and I hope other companies do take note of it, is that this game is running natively on DirectX 11. Even though Windows 10 does say it is DirectX 12 supported, not all games run on DirectX 12. Halo Infinite and Elden Ring being the most famous examples. Elden Ring, we found a workaround for it. Halo Infinite, yeah, we didn't find a workaround for it. So, I'm very happy about that. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider leaving a like and sharing it with all of your other poor people friends if you have them who have like low-end PCs. Maybe you can save them some money if they are very excited for this game and end up getting it and it doesn't work well. It's gonna break their heart. So, you know, save them from a heartbreak and tell them, hey man, watch this great guy. He made this video telling how this game runs on a low-end PC. I'm just rambling at this point. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.